filling up.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Virtual College Exploration for all California students, sponsored by College2Career Fairs and StriveScan. Thank you for joining us. A few housekeeping announcements before we get started. You can use the Q&A button on your screen to type your questions to our presenters at any time. Your camera and microphone are off, so the panelists cannot see or hear you. This is just one of many different sessions happening. So be sure to check out the full schedule at College2Careerfairsconnect.org. This presentation is being recorded and will be available within about a week at the same website. That's College2Careerfairsconnect.org. I'd like to now turn it over to our presenters.
Great, thanks so much, Trevor. I'm just gonna share our presentation with you all, and we'll go ahead and get started. Great, so awesome. Does that look okay to everybody? Okay, good. So thanks so much for joining us, you guys. We have 45 minutes together, so we'll quickly go through sort of who's on your panel tonight. My name is Kaylee Moore. I'm an international admissions counselor at St. Thomas University, and I'm originally from the United States and ended up choosing a school in Canada. But more than anything, I knew that I wanted a liberal arts education. So that's what we're all here to chat with you about. Our colleague Emily from the University of Central Lancashire was unable to make it tonight, but we do have her contact info at the end for you. I'm also joined by my colleague Jocelyn from Bishop's University here in Canada, Sunera from York University here in Canada, and Courtney Best from Gettysburg College in the US. So we're going to take you guys through the definition of the liberal arts. What are the liberal arts? What do we mean when we say that? What the approach to academics, the student community outcomes, so career and work opportunities you'll have, and the admissions process for our institutions. We'll quickly give you some information about each of our schools, and then we'll take a general question and answer at the end. As we said at the top, please submit any questions that you have throughout into the Q&A function. The Q&A will be private display, so unless you want your answer featured live, anything you ask us will only be visible to you unless we mark it to be answered live. So if you have a specific question that you're worried about everyone seeing, no worries, you can ask it, and right out the front you can say, just answer me, and we'll get back to you privately. With that, I'm going to turn it over to my colleague Sunera to begin defining what the liberal arts are.
Fantastic. Thank you, Kelly, and thanks everyone for being here tonight. So defining the liberal arts, it is a holistic approach to education. What does liberal art mean in liberal arts? So it's educating the whole person. It is a broad-based learning in the humanities, sciences, and arts. And it's the cultivation of critical thinking and examination. So it really prepares students for the lives of services, achievements, and leadership. So a liberal arts degree is one of the most practical degrees that you can pursue, especially in a world with increasing uncertainty and volatility. A liberal arts degree does equip you with the adaptability needed to navigate the changing and evolving landscapes, especially as the job market is constantly changing. In this regard, a liberal arts degree has more worth than ever before, especially as new jobs emerge and older jobs change or disappear. By exploring issues, ideas, and methods across humanities and the arts and the natural and social sciences, you will learn to read critically, write persuasively, and think broadly. So these skills will elevate your conversations in the classroom and strengthen your social and cultural analysis. And these skills will equip you with the tools necessary to navigate the complex issues of today's world. A liberal arts education does challenge you to consider not only how to solve problems, but also trains you to ask which problems to solve, and preparing you for positions of leadership. We always encourage students to connect early in their college career with their professors, who can be great mentors. And many liberal arts universities and colleges also offer research opportunities to undergraduate students, as well as experiential education to help students build skills while in school. And students should connect with their career services early on to develop a plan.
So my colleague Sunara did a great job explaining why liberal arts education is really relevant these days. And I would argue it's probably the most relevant program that you can take. So we're really happy to be here discussing that with you. So for my slide, I'm just going to go over sort of how a liberal arts degree is different from maybe a conventional or traditional big school experience that you might be used to. So typically a liberal arts college either can be a small campus that is exclusively liberal arts, or can actually be a faculty or a college within a larger university. So today you're going to hear perspectives from both sides, so you get a chance to see what might be a good fit for you. But typically with the liberal arts, it's more of a comprehensive, broad, well-rounded type of degree. So rather than, let's say, going in just to be an accountant where all you take are math classes, business classes, and that is really strictly what you do. With liberal arts, we like to give you lots of options. So I look at that as a very positive thing. And so let's say you do want to be an accountant, so you have your business classes and your math classes, but you might also want to take a minor in music, or you might want to take some drama classes, or maybe you have a secret passion for biology that you want to do. So at our types of liberal arts colleges or programs, we give you the space and within your program structure to actually have the flexibility to do that. So that's one of our main advantages. And I know my colleagues and I were really happy to offer that to students because we know how valuable it is for yourself and for your future career. So as I mentioned, it can be typically a small college that offers liberal arts. So I know, for example, my school is a rural school, but there are also liberal arts colleges within urban centers as well. It really depends on which university you do end up at. And like I mentioned, that there are different opportunities as a liberal arts student. So one of the main things that all of our institutions do offer is sort of that experiential learning experience. So that can be reflected in many ways. So you can have experiential learning within the classroom, and you can also have experiential learning outside the classroom. So experiential learning inside the classroom can look like more hands-on learning, less of static PowerPoint and take notes kind of classes, where you'll be actually doing the things that you're studying at the same time, whether it's actually in the classroom or in the field, if you're in biology, for example, or environmental studies, actually going to those places that you're studying and being really hands-on with your learning. And it can also look like experiential learning outside the classroom. So many co-op experiences, many internships possible, anything that actually gives you direct work experience within the field as you're studying. So again, this is super valuable in today's changing world, as Sunara mentioned. It really doesn't hurt to get as much, hands-on experience right away as you're studying. And I can say from experience that it is super valuable, and it's really things that you want to have the opportunity to do.
Fantastic. Thanks, Jocelyn. So the diagram that we have up here for you is just to illustrate some of the degree outcomes. Now, it may look like a maze at the beginning, but the reality is that 80% of students actually end up in a field other than their major. However, many students will apply to one major with no acknowledgement that they will actually evolve and grow by taking many other courses and learning about other disciplines. A recent study at the Georgetown University Center on Education and the Workforce shows that long-term value of liberal arts can pay off actually quite well. The study looked at the return on investment at 4,500 US colleges and universities, and it found that the median return on investment of liberal arts colleges after 40 years is nearly $200,000 higher than the median for all colleges. It is also worth noting that liberal arts colleges generate a higher number of liberal arts graduates compared to other types of schools, obviously. But likewise, career earnings of liberal arts college graduates is slightly higher than those from even engineering and sometimes technology-focused schools who earn four-year business degrees or management degrees, according to the study. And the reason why this happens is because a liberal arts degree can allow students to study a variety of subjects designed to encourage flexible thinking. Aside from that, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics in the United States, liberal art degree is designed to prepare students for a variety of career options, as well as specific occupations as well. And what kind of jobs can a bachelor's degree in liberal arts then open up for students? The pathway isn't always clear. So for example, a philosophy major may not always end up being a philosopher, obviously. That job doesn't really exist. But each discipline will give you very particular framework for creativity, problem solving, communications, and other skills that will be very useful in the job or in the labor market. So below is just a list of some of the careers that our students actually end up pursuing. And some of the places where we have seen our students gone is things like advertising representative, artists, event directors, financial analyst, a graphic designer, human resources specialist, a journalist, marketing specialist, public relations specialist, project manager, research analyst, social work, statisticians, teacher, technical writer, web developer. So as you can see, there are a vast majority or many different careers that students can actually pursue within or from their liberal arts degree. All right, over to my next colleague.
Thanks. And I think just kind of building off of that, the average person will have 12 jobs within a lifespan. And I think the liberal arts and sciences degrees out there that really focus on preparing our students for all of these jobs. And I know we probably have a mixture of students interested in the liberal arts and humanities and maybe even in social justice work. And the liberal arts really does help prepare you for all of these fields and give in a variety of different positions you might have within these fields. So on our campuses, we have professionals that will help you during your undergraduate experience. And this could be, you know, as simple as updating your resume or your cover letter, from doing a mock interview and preparing for that internship or job interview during your college years, or afterwards for that medical school or a graduate program interview. We have partnerships with major companies all over the world, as well as our alumni networks that we use to really help our students have opportunities to do job shadowing or week-long externships or internships. They're co-op programs, and these are also some of the programs that really help you get the skills, but also network and figure out where you ultimately want to be. You can build your leadership skills and relevant experiences and then be able to share these when you're applying for a job and sitting in front of someone. For those of you who are thinking that you want to extend and go on to graduate schools, there's advising on which courses to take, which experiences to pursue, and how to prepare for those exams. So everything from the MCAT for medical school, the LSAT for law school. Oftentimes our schools will offer a prep course on campus or resources for you to prepare for that. And even in this lovely virtual world we're living in, we are still offering job fairs and internship fairs, as well as great networking opportunities. So even in this virtual world, it's so important to reach out, and all of these experiences will lead to great outcomes. So you'll see on this next slide that if you look at some of the research that's been done on just graduation rate, yes, it's important to graduate within 4 years, or some schools it's even 3 years, but that will really help you kind of propel yourself into the next step, whether it's graduate work or a career. And you can see here that based on the national rates in the US, liberal arts clearly stands out, and we have much higher rates of students graduating. So around 85% will graduate within 4 years. This might be higher sometimes in the UK or in Canada. So I think that's also something to pay attention to as you're looking at schools. And also you'll see here, it's about the placement rate, and we really track our students and see where do they end up, especially after that first year. And it is slightly higher. It's 90 to 98% of our students are finding placements in jobs in graduate schools. And all of this is because they have the skills that they need to be successful in life. And some of these opportunities that will help you add to your academics really comes from those opportunities outside of the classroom. So I'm going to turn it over to Kaylee to talk a little bit more about that.
Thanks, Courtney. And I noticed a couple new participants had joined us while we were speaking. So again, we're speaking to the value of a liberal arts education. And now we're going to talk a bit more about the fun side of things at a liberal arts school. So something that I knew that why I really wanted a liberal arts education is definitely for the academics, that interdisciplinary setting where you get to know your professors and you learn from the other students in your room, and you can really challenge things and ask questions, and you're not just kind of being like fed notes and forced to take a test and spitting out the information. You're actually thinking thoroughly about the content that you're learning. So I know that tonight this presentation is for students taking the IB, and the IB is such a fantastic preparation for a liberal arts education. You are already sort of doing all those activities. We definitely understand the rigorous academics that you're going through, but also all the additional extended essay and CAS and everything else that you're doing. So on campus, what we see at our liberal arts schools is very engaged and active students. So this presentation, we also had a social justice component, and the liberal arts, you're studying people. And that's why students do so well finding work and going on to graduate programs or entering the career, like the career world, because you're never going to have a job or an opportunity where you don't have to deal with people in some way or other. So the liberal arts is that excellent preparation for a life of having to work with others. And on campus, we want you to get those leadership opportunities. We want you to build your resume, get involved outside of your academic program, and engage within the community. So whether that's through service learning and volunteer initiatives, social justice work, all of our campus have opportunities for study abroad and travel study opportunities to go to another country or another city, and get to kind of use that new culture as your textbook for a bit. Or whether it's a humanitarian mission or a trip, so you can get some experience working in international affairs and development, work placements, internships, different events. And I think one of the kind of really exciting things about being, once you're in college, university, is that there's so many different clubs and activities to get involved in. And usually if there's a club that you're really interested in, but it doesn't exist at your school, you can start that club. And usually you can get funding to start that club. When I was a student, I started 3 different clubs and organizations, and it was as simple as finding a couple friends that were interested in the same thing, and going to my student union and asking for funding and asking for help writing out our club's constitution. So there's so many great opportunities with that. And that's really encouraged in a liberal arts setting. These opportunities, I know that part of the IB, a lot of the opportunities that you're doing, a lot of them are required, but a lot of them we know you're also really passionate about. You want to think about university and college. This is your start of your career. So the 4 years or 3 years, if you go to the UK, that you're doing your bachelor's degree, this is your first step to really build out your resume, start developing connections and references. As Courtney mentioned, our schools do career fairs and networking and events, and we teach you how to interview. So this is your opportunity to gain all those attractive skills that employers or graduate programs are going to be looking for. So we're huge fans of liberal arts programs because no other degree is going to give you so much flexibility and opportunity to take on those leadership opportunities and extracurriculars to really build that out. One of the other key features of a liberal arts experience and classroom is that global perspective. So the liberal arts, it attracts students from all over the world. So usually your classroom is very dynamic. It has students from different age groups and demographics and backgrounds. And the conversation typically focuses around current events or, major global issues that are happening, whether it's talking about systemic racism or climate change or health and religion and sexuality and gender rights and human rights and just all those different contentious issues and problems that we need to solve, not just within our own communities, but around the world, you're tackling those problems in your classrooms. So you really are gaining this global perspective, which makes it really great if you have any interest in working internationally in the future. So whether you stay in the US and study, whether you end up in Canada, whether you go to the UK or some other country, you're going to be able to take that degree and go anywhere with it through the liberal arts. With that, we're going to tell you each about our institutions. Again, you can use the Q&A function to start sending questions. When we get through the institutional slides, we'll open it up for those questions. So start thinking of them and sending them in now. And although we don't have a chat feature, we'd love to get to know who's in our audience a little more. So if you guys want to post like what city you're in, we believe you're all in California, but if you're not, you can post the different state or country. But feel free to send that into the Q&A just so we can kind of know who's on the other end of this session. And with that, I'm going to quickly tell you about the University of Central Lancashire. As we mentioned at the top, our colleague Emily Page, who represents the University of Central Lancashire, she was unable to make it, and she says sorry about that. But this is just a quick screen grab from their website, the international section, and their URL is right at the top. So if you want to check out their institution, definitely take a look. They are a larger institution, but with a really strong liberal arts foundation. And in the UK, undergraduate degrees are only 3 years. They are a bit more specialized, but this is kind of a unique option in the UK for liberal arts if you're thinking about it. So with that, I'll talk about St. Thomas, which is my institution. I'm going to pause for a second because you've heard me talk for a while. So St. Thomas University, we are extremely unique in Canada. We're actually the only university exclusively focused on the liberal arts. So we offer a Bachelor of Arts degree, and that is what we offer. We do offer a School of Education and Social Work after the BA if you wanted to be certified as a social worker or teacher, but otherwise our heart and soul is the arts. So humanities, social sciences, fine arts, performing arts, that's all that we do. So we're about 2,000 students. We limit enrollment to maintain that small size. Our classrooms are capped at 60, so you're never in a class larger than 60, but the average is around 26 in your first year. We are very focused around reading and writing. So that's something that if you have an interest in, you'll definitely be doing a lot on our campus. And some of the programs that we're best known for, besides our big three, so our big three would be English language and literature, which has concentrations in creative writing and drama, criminology and criminal justice, and psychology. Those are our three largest departments. But our specialty programs include our School of Journalism, Communications and Public Policy, great books, as well as human rights. And I'm just going to mention the human rights program because we do get a lot of IB students that apply into this program. So it is within our Bachelor of Arts. Your major would be human rights, and you can take courses in our different majors, which include international relations, law, politics and society, political science, or anything else that you want to take classes in, economics, gerontology. But the human rights program houses our moot court program, which is one of St. Thomas's signature programs. Moot court is a simulated Supreme Courtroom system. For those in the US, you're probably a bit more familiar with this, but maybe not. So what it is essentially is, well, a simulated Supreme Court. So think mock trial, but instead of civil law cases, you're debating constitutional court cases. And we have one of the only formalized class teams in Canada. So we actually compete in the American Moot Association. There are other teams across Canada. So we do compete in the Canadian Osgood Cup, and we are last year's champions of that. But in the US, that's where our main program is. So we compete in the American Moot, and there's over 400 teams in the American Moot. Our team is currently ranked 3rd in the program, in the conference, and 1st for the writing section. So this is a team we're extremely proud of. They are amazing, made up of all international students competing US Supreme Court policy. And then through that, those students decided we want to learn more about international law. So they started a club. They would get pizza Friday nights and study international law. And they ended up qualifying in 2017 to the Nelson Mandela World Human Rights Moot Court Competition, which is hosted by the United Nations in Geneva. They ended up being the only undergraduate team in the world to attend the competition, and they won the entire thing. So we send a lot of students on to law schools, not just in Canada, but around the world. That's really our big thing, is social justice is kind of at the core of the university. My majors were journalism and communications. We have an awesome school for that. So if you want to know any more about our humanities, social sciences, or any of the programs I mentioned, you're welcome to send those into the chat. I will turn it over to my colleague at Bishop's.
Thank you so much, Kaylee. That was a great introduction to what liberal arts can look like in Canada. So for those of you who aren't maybe so familiar with Canadian geography, I'll just give a quick little introduction to where we're talking about. So if you're moving from the right-hand side of the country to the left, Kaylee is actually our first in New Brunswick. And then I am in Quebec. So I am in the French-speaking province of Canada. Up front, don't worry, you do not have to speak French to come to Bishop's. If you would like to speak French, that's great, but it is definitely not a requirement. And we're actually located right on the US border. So for those of you who are interested in coming to Canada, but still maybe like to be kind of close to home, we're actually about a 40-minute drive from Vermont. And we border Maine on our other border as well. So very close to the US. I spent a lot of time in the US as a student, obviously a little bit more difficult now, but hopefully things will straighten out in the future. But again, very similar to St. Thomas, we're not quite as liberal arts focused, but we do have a liberal education model. So like St. Thomas, we're quite small, about 2,800 students, and 300 of which are graduate students. So we are primarily undergraduate, but we do have somewhat of a substantial graduate program. And I was actually a graduate student at Bishop's as well. So I had both the undergrad and graduate experience. Again, very small school like St. Thomas as well. So our student faculty ratio averages about 19:1. And our class sizes are on average about 34 students, but some of our first year intro classes do get up to about 100. So still pretty intimate compared to some of the bigger schools, but do expect to be in a bit of a larger class starting out. As you can see sort of from my background photo here of campus, we're a very small residential campus. So actually 97% of our students live within walking distance. You can't see it on this photo, but all the student housing is very close. So you get that very, community at-home feel. Most people do not commute from their house. Most people do not go home on weekends. So you're going to see a lot of familiar faces, and that's really part of the Bishop's experience and part of the liberal arts experience in general. As I think Kaylee mentioned, liberal arts really is about dealing with people. So obviously in your classes and your work experience, but also having that residential campus feel is actually a big part of the liberal arts experience. So that's something you can definitely look forward to when you come to a campus like Bishop's or St. Thomas or many of my colleagues here tonight. And for those of you who are from the US, which I think is all of you, I think you'll be excited to know that you will not be the only US students here at Bishop's. We have quite a large US population, as I mentioned, the proximity to our border, but also because we do replicate that traditional American liberal arts college. So I speak to many American families who are looking for that, but also want to go abroad. So we're a great sort of halfway point where you can have something familiar that you might have in the East Coast of the US, but just above in the Canadian border. So you can see on my slide, we have about students from 30 states in the US and from over 80 countries. So we definitely really appreciate diversity on campus. And that actually leads into some of our social justice options for those of you who are interested. Within our liberal arts college, we actually have a social justice minor. So this is within, I'd say, the last 5 years. And it's a great option for those of you who do have that global perspective, want to get involved, maybe just want to get your feet wet a little bit. You can actually tack on that minor to anything you do at Bishop's. So it can be something directly related like politics and social justice, or like I mentioned, if you want to do biology and social justice, we are happy to do that. And that is something that you can definitely move forward with in life. And again, for those of you who want the global perspective, you do have the opportunity for exchange and for international internships within the social justice minor. So I know we have a professor whose specialty is Brazil, for example. So he takes a bunch of our social justice students, they go to Brazil everywhere, and they work with migrant workers in Brazil. So they get that experience of law, policy, politics, the international perspective. So there's so many options that you can do within the liberal arts that you wouldn't be able to do if you did go to one of those more technical, specialized programs. So we're really proud of the fact that you do have a lot more options here in a liberal arts degree and within a liberal arts program. To speak quickly to the IB students, we do have a lot of IB students who come to Bishops, and you will get a full year of credits if you do the IB diploma with the appropriate scores. So that does give you a huge advantage. I know most of our IB students don't actually like to give up their year at Bishops because we want to experience those 4 years. So many of our students do claim their university credits that they will receive from the IB program, but they do end up staying their entire 4 years just because they don't want to leave campus so soon. They want to get involved with everything that there is to offer on campus. So it really is a personal choice. If you would like to claim your full year of credits, we would absolutely love you to do that. But if you would like to claim them but still stay on campus as well, that is definitely a common path for IB students. And as Kaylee mentioned, you're very well set up as an IB student to come into a college like a liberal arts college. It really is a similar kind of perspective and a similar kind of outlook on education. So I know from personal experience and from our students that IB students do very well at liberal arts colleges, and I think they find sort of a home here as part of that experience. Thank you. If you want to go ahead, Courtney.
All right, so thanks for this. Folks, we are actually York University. We are the 3rd largest university in Canada, and we are located in the province of Ontario, in the city of Toronto. So Toronto is the largest metropolitan city in Canada, and we also share the longest bi-national border with the United States. So we're about 2 hours drive from Toronto to there. So that's always great. Aside from this, being the 3rd largest, we do have a population of around 55,000 students on 2 of our campuses. We opened our brand new campus right now, which is in Costa Rica. It's affiliated with our environmental and urban change faculty. So students can definitely go there and study abroad in any normal given year. This year, of course, things are a little bit different, but we're hoping to have that back as soon as we can. And we do have our Glendon campus as well, which is also our bilingual campus. And you don't have to be proficient in French or Spanish, you just have to be willing to learn, and you will also graduate with a certificate in bilingualism or trilingualism. Students are able to take classes on both campuses, but the great thing about our campus is that despite being the 3rd largest, we are a self-contained campus. So everything that you see at York is a part of York. We do have a subway station, 2 subway stations on campus as well. So a half-hour subway ride directly into downtown Toronto. So that's something that's really nice that our students do enjoy. We do have over 140 different restaurants on campus, banks, doctors' offices, shopping malls, libraries as well. So 5 different libraries. And we do have 11 different faculties. So we have our faculties of liberal arts and professional studies, which is our largest, of course. Our Lausanne School of Engineering, our Schule School of Business, which is actually ranked as one of the top as well. And our Osgoode Hall Law School, our Glendon Faculty of Environment and Urban Change, Education, Health, and Graduate Studies, and the School of Arts, Media, Performance, and Design as well. We do have 3 research centers as well, so great research opportunities for our students starting as early as 1st year. And that is something we had mentioned in our presentation as well, so to really get you the value of your degree. Aside from that, quite a few of our programs are known worldwide. We do tend to see a lot of IB students from many different parts of the world, especially from the US, so that's one of our highest population. Currently, we have around 475 undergraduate and graduate students. I think this number has now gone up to nearly 600 and probably needs to be updated as well. Aside from that, we do have over 12,000 first-generation university students. So ideal student on our campus is someone who wants the big campus feel, but you also want the community feel, and you also want to make those connections, who would contribute to campus life and also collaborate with others and inspire those around them to do their best while their studies and beyond as well. I'm just going to talk a little bit about admission. So IB tends to be something that we do see a lot of students from, and it's highly recognized. For most of our programs, if you do have an IB diploma, we do recommend a score of 30. For some programs, we may even consider a 28, but 30 is a decent score that we would consider. Aside from that, we do give transfer credits as well. So transfer credits can be as high as 30 credits depending on the program that you are applying to and how that fits in with your studies at York. And 30 credits is roughly about 1 year's of study. Some of our competitive programs, we could ask for almost a 36, so it really depends. And for most of our admissions, we typically would be looking at your transcript because we are an academic school. And aside from that, we do have 280 international university partnerships with many different universities worldwide. And that's something that we highly encourage for students to get their international experience, typically in their second or third year. So just keeping the time in mind, I am going to pass it to my colleague, Courtney. Courtney, thanks.
Thanks, I appreciate that. And yeah, I just have a little bit on Gettysburg, and then we'll be able to open it up for questions. So keep thinking of those. But I'm Courtney, and I'm based out here in Vancouver, Washington. So for those of you in California, I'm your person. So please feel free to reach out to me at any point during this process. Gettysburg is located in the world famous town of Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, known for our American history, and our students from the West Coast really enjoy the proximity to the major cities. So we're only an hour and 20 minutes to Washington, DC, an hour to Baltimore, and then Philadelphia and New York aren't too far. But if you're flying in, those are the two major cities you'd fly into, Washington, DC or Baltimore. And we have a shuttle every day, every 3 hours for students, for friends, for family members to use. So it's really easy to get to, and it's kind of the best of both worlds. You get the small town to work and study in, but you have access to the major cities. We have 2,600 students from all over the world, and we love our class sizes. The average is around 17. Your largest might be around 60, or excuse me, that'd be a really large class, around 35 or 40 for the introductory courses. And for a smaller class, it might be around 5. Our students tend to do it all in their 4 years. So studying abroad is a huge part of the Gettysburg experience. We even have students studying abroad this semester in England and France and Germany and China. So we really like to support students in that kind of global perspective. And you can go abroad for up to 2 semesters. We have over 65 majors, minors, and special programs, and we give you the first 2 years to really take a lot of courses before you have to declare your major. Our students really balance out their academics with getting involved on campus. There are a ton of leadership opportunities, over 120 clubs and organizations, and really students jump in starting their first semester. If you're interested in doing student research, Gettysburg is 100% undergraduate, so you get all the attention and resources from the faculty, and you are the student researchers. We have our students presenting at national and sometimes international conferences as well. A big part of who we are is also that outcomes piece. So that's why I really enjoy presenting on that, because everything that you do is this culmination of preparing you for that next step. And 98% of our students have a job or in graduate school within a year of graduation. As you're looking at Gettysburg and thinking of applying, we do use the Common Application. Anyone who applies will automatically get considered for our merit scholarships from $15,000 all the way up to $32,000. We have a new scholarship, which is our $40,000 scholarship for civic engagement. So all of you who are very into social justice or you're civic minded, please look at this Eisenhower Scholarship for Civic Engagement. It might be the perfect match for you. But as far as IB goes, we do recognize 5s and above on the exam and give credit for that. So we know the IB curriculum is one of the most challenging curriculums that you can take in high school. And we really want to know all parts of you, not just what you do in the classroom, but how you've satisfied your CAS requirements, or what you're passionate about pursuing in the future as well. So please get in touch with me. I would love to interview you, and please take advantage of some of the other virtual opportunities we have through our admissions website. You can sign up for those. But now I'm going to turn it over to Kaylee.
Great, thanks. So we're on to the question section now. We have about 7 minutes left together, so feel free to send those questions in. I'm just going to navigate to our last slide, which has all of our contact information. So Courtney from Gettysburg, Emily, who couldn't make it tonight, but her email is right there. So if you want to reach out and say, hey, missed you at the session tonight, but I have some questions about studying in the UK, you can go ahead and do that. And then you have Jocelyn, myself, and Sunera's emails, and the three of us are located in Canada. So I'm just going to go to the Q&A right now. Thank you to those who let us know where you're from. If you still want to send in what part of the United States or what part of the world you're tuning in from, or where you're originally from, feel free to do that. And also what year of the IB you're in. And if you're doing the full diploma or certificates or had specific questions there. Let's take it to a question, maybe just to get a little more information about each school, but maybe we can just go down each institution. You could just tell us maybe like what's a special club on your campus, or what makes your school unique, or the type of student you tend to see, more about your school. Sunera, do you want to begin?
Sure. So as I did mention, we are a large campus, but self-contained campus. So our students are really somebody who are looking to collaborate with other. Osgoode Hall Law School, again, that's something that's really known for us. So social justice is a huge part of us. Anything with political science, that really drives students and they're interested in that. If you're really looking, you want the feel of the city and a big campus, but you really want that collaborative environment, then this is probably the school for you. Aside from that, a lot of our students, so around 12,000 of our students, are first generation university students as well. Just to kind of give you a sense of the type of student that probably looks to explore York. But yeah, we have over 500 different clubs. We have a mustache club. You don't have to have a mustache to be in it. We have a Harry Potter and a magic club as well. And they've done some really cool things, connecting with Disney theme parks and convincing them to sell fair trade chocolates. So those are just some of the things that you will find on campus.
Awesome. Courtney, do you want to tell us about some maybe cool clubs on your campus or unique features?
Yeah, sure. I didn't mention, we do have a Sunderman Conservatory of Music, so over 100 musical productions throughout the year. We have the Eisenhower Institute for Public Policy and Leadership. We have an office 2 blocks from the White House and an office on campus. So those are 2 programs that are kind of unique to Gettysburg.
Nice. Jocelyn?
Sure. So I think I mentioned that Bishops is pretty hands-on and we're really about experiential learning. So we have some fun new projects on campus. So we actually have a brewery on campus where we brew our own beer. And it's actually a graduate program in chemistry, but in brewing science specifically. And it's actually a very high level program. It's quite competitive. So yeah, we can actually go to have a beer. Of course, drinking age in Quebec is 18. So just putting that out there. And then we also make our own honey. We have our own sustainable agriculture farm. We have our own greenhouse. We do all sorts of things where we generate products, generate food, things on campus. So we're really proud of that. And just one thing I'll say quickly about Bishops, and maybe this is true for all the other liberal arts schools, but we do say at Bishops that Bishops isn't for everyone and everyone isn't for Bishops. So even though I would love for you to come to Bishops and I would love to tell everyone to come, we do recognize that this is a really interesting education model and it isn't for everyone. So I think the people who are probably tuning in today, this might be for you, but I just want to put it out there that this isn't, like Sunera mentioned, for us, it's not a big school in a big city. So if you are looking for that life at Bishops, you won't find that. You might find that at York, which is great. But we just like to put that out there as that if you are looking for this type of experience, we would love to give it to you. But at the same time, we do recognize that this isn't for everyone. So we like to be upfront with that, but we hope you heard something from either Bishops or liberal arts in general that you did like.
Awesome. Thank you. And at St. Thomas, a couple unique clubs that are most common. Our largest club is actually our Q&A society, so our Queer and Allied Student Society. So that is our LGBTQIA2S+ group, and they are extremely active, which they like to joke. It's ironic that our campus was founded by the Catholic Church back in the 1910. We are a secular university now. We do still have that cross on our symbol. So I do want to clarify that we are a secular institution because that is really different from Catholic colleges in the US. We're not actually a Catholic college, but you will see those initial roots still within our campus crest and signature. But yeah, the Q&A group is so fun. We have a lot of drag shows on our campus and pride events, and our students help the city as well organize all their pride events and activities. And then musical theater is really common on campus. So it's, you often walk through students choreographing or singing or dancing around. So yeah. We have only about 1 more minute. So if you have any final questions, send those in. Maybe I'll get all the reps to thumbs up if you accept IB for transfer credit or consider IB for transfer credit. I think a few of us mentioned it, so awesome. That's great. And if you offer scholarships to international students or Courtney, US students, yeah, awesome. So even those of us in Canada, we do still have scholarships, so everyone on the panel. How about, can students work when they are studying at your school? Can they work part-time? Yeah, awesome. On and off campus? Sweet. All right. So just kind of going through quick questions, just basic stuff. And it looks like Trevor's gonna play in the Grammy music here to cut us off. I think we're at like 20 seconds. So good job, everyone. And thanks so much for tuning in to the students.
Trevor, I think you're on mute.
Oh, thanks. So just want to thank our presenters and remind everyone that this presentation has been recorded and will be available in about a week, as well as all the other sessions at College2CareerFairsConnect.org. That's College2CareerFairsConnect.org. And with that, I will conclude the session. Thank you, guys.